Merlin, exploring infrastructure as search. Good morning, everybody. My name is John Capobianco, and today I'm going to make a very short video exploring the world of the Elastic Stack and what it means in its place in network automation and infrastructure as code. Right now, we can build our own little subset of infrastructure as code called infrastructure as search or infrastructure as elastic. Now let me get the whiteboard of doom out real quick to kind of go over this. And I have some caveats today because the sandbox is down. DevNet sandbox is down all weekend. So there's no live data coming in for this demonstration. We're using a static data set. But again, we start with our Python, our PyATS to Merlin with Jinja 2. And we feed that. We do this into Docker as a container, our solution, containerize the solution. And then we put our solution into Kubernetes so it can be orchestrated and scheduled and managed a little more like an enterprise fashion, like a system, a cluster or a node, right, with pods and deployments and services. Well, that includes 10 learn functions and 12 parse functions, plus our two SmartNet total care services. Right, so total of 14 different individual unique sets of JSON data. Well, we feed all of this into Elastic through Python as part of Merlin. We run the job, PyATS grabs our show IP interface brief, makes it JSON, and then posts it, it's actually a puts it into an index in Elastic, an index. Now this process here is known as ingesting data. And what these little arrows are, if you could imagine here, a little block of compute. This is our pipeline. I'm just going to put pipe. And in my pipeline, I'm not doing much, but what I'm doing is very important. I'm adding a timestamp, an ingest time. So when the JSON index ends up in here, right, there is a field, a key value pair of ingest time and the timestamp. Every index, right, the index is made up of shards. Now these shards come with, and this is part of the Python over here, a hex unique identifier, a UUID in hex that gets appended to the URL to make every individual ingestion. Every member, Kubernetes is running this every minute. It's going to ingest it and timestamp it with a unique ID per shard collected into an index. All right, that's the foundation. Now, what does it give us? Well, look at all this. It's a mess. I'm sorry, it's a mess. But this is us down here, and I wrote search. It's infrastructure as search. And I've put upstream arrows and different things on how we can get at this Elastic database now. We can do it right in our browser, and I'm going to show you that right in Chrome, IE, Firefox, right from a browser. We can do it via a REST API, which means, you know, most people jump to think of Postman. Yes, Postman. There's also curl, Python, Ansible, and, you know, I have VSCode as its own standalone and technically VSCode. Elastic View is either a standalone or in-browser extension. We're going to explore Elastic View. This is an important one. Because I'll show you, Elastic, this doesn't have a front end. There's no like GUI and log in and do things. It's like, it says, welcome to, like, Elastic, you know, for search. Little blob of JSON, that's all you get. If you want a front end, you need to kind of do this stuff southbound to consume it. Elastic View, we're going to come back to that. And then VSCode, can you believe it? Right in VSCode via an extension, I'm going to show you this. These are .es files, Elasticsearch files. And we're going to show you that. Now, there's also, and I put a big K here, Cabana, a full-blown, like Elastic Stack, Kibana is part of the stack. I'm talking about other ways to consume just the Elastic as a search. Not necessarily to use the Kibana tools, which we will. There'll be separate videos. But these are like dashboards, pie charts, and bar graphs, and all kinds of amazing visualizations. There's also an enterprise search in here that we're going to explore. Now, I also have this thick client down here called Kaizen that we're going to explore. So how many different ways, right? Any browser, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways through APIs, Elastic View, VSCode, Kaizen, Kibana, probably more. There's probably some paid ones. Pretty incredible. So let's start taking a look at infrastructure as search. Let me share my screen here. And what I have is Docker running, and down here in my Merlin Docker Nexus, I have Kibana running and I have Elasticsearch running. You can see them here as Docker Compose up, and as I make requests, you'll see the logging increase here. But pardon me, excuse me. So let's go to the search. So right in the browser, and I'm going to go to my custom homepage here. So I have this homepage with all of the Merlin services, microservices. And then at the bottom, I've added the Elastic link and the Kibana link. Just have some coffee, 1 second. Excuse me. So it prompts us for our credentials. We sign into Elastic. And as I was saying, you get a tagline and some basic information about your cluster. And then let me log into Kibana just to show you Kibana, but we're not going to be using Kibana today. I will be making separate videos later about Kibana, but just to give you a sense of what we get with just these two containers. We get this whole thing, right? Enterprise search, observability, security, Kibana, an incredible just an incredible ecosystem in the Elastic Stack. Now, let me, right from here, I'm going to just take this over to a new tab, and let's do _search. And that's okay, but let's make it pretty. All right, so now, right in the browser, this is everything about Elastic and my Kibana event logs, the indexes, and then from here, I'm going to go cheat and steal an index. Let me grab Postman real quick. I don't want to get this wrong. But right from the browser, I'm going to start getting the other tools open anyway. And here's Postman. We'll come back to Postman, but here we go. Let's just take that one. So I can go into one of the indexes, and let's just look at the index itself. Oh, too many slashes. And we'll make it pretty again. So this is the index schema. If we want to program against it, if we need to know what type these fields are. Some of these are long. Some of them are keywords. Some of them are probably strings. There's text. There's Boolean. You get the idea. Right, now that's the index itself. So now let's get rid of /pretty and do _search here. Well, let's do pretty with the search. So this, you can see that there's 10 hits, 10 values, and this is the learned interface JavaScript object notation. And it has 10 different sets of data in it. And I can write from here, let's say ingest. Right, there's ingest time, and there's 10 of them, and there's 10 different timestamps. Right? And we can see that even the MAC address is changing as I'm flipping around here. We can see the MAC changing. All right, so then, right, we have it in a browser, all this great data. And now from here, we can search. So if I change my search to be search, let me get this right, _source equals, meaning this right here, the source. Now I can, let's just say loopback 1. Source found false. Did I do that wrong? Let me cheat. Let me cheat again. Ha. I already have these pre-canned somewhere. I'm still getting used to the syntax and everything. Oh, that's why. Okay, so question mark source equals loopback 1. Let me try that again with this. Yeah, see, I had it. Now, I don't know how to compound pretty yet. I try this with pretty like this. Oh, yeah. There, that worked. As I say, it doesn't work. No, see, it doesn't. It doesn't work. It gives me the indexes, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong there. But anyway, here's all of the loopback ones. Now, what if we say, well, what if I want every interface? Well, let's say source equals star. Well, there's every interface. And now I can key down into, let's say, dot counters. And there's all of the counters. And then I could keep going here, right? Now, the browser, I'm just showing you this. I wouldn't do this in a browser, but it's quick and handy and it's right there. Now, in Postman, I have all of these collections. Here's the schema for learned interface. And here's the search for learned interface. And here is a specific, right, when I was talking about a specific shard. Let's bring this into the browser. Oh, I need the whole thing. Well, let me do it this way. Show interface. No, this is learn. I need a slash here. There we go. And let me make it pretty. All right, so this is one single data set, right, versus the whole search. This is just the single snapshot if you wanted the single snapshot. Right now in Postman, we have all of these things. Now here, what I like about Postman, and I'm going to highlight this, is instead of fumbling around here in the try to coming up with the string, you can see Postman has the key and the value. So right in Postman, right, if I want, I don't know, let's say port channel. I don't know that that's an actual key. Let me find another key from the big search. What about this one? Let's just take that one, right? So from here, if I do Ethernet 132, it'll change it. I don't need to mess around up here. And I can do all these different things here in Postman. And as you can see, and this is part of the repository, I've put this together as a JSON collection file where you just have to do file import and import from the JSON file that I've sent you, and you will have this collection to go find, I don't know, VRF, the state of every VRF. Default and management are up. Great. Is there any MAC addresses in the table? Yep, there's a MAC address in the table. Right? You get the idea. Infrastructure as, this is more like as REST, as Postman, but let's keep going. So what's on my list? We saw browsers, we saw Postman. Let's look at Elastic View. This is really neat, and this is where search really comes in. As you'll notice, there's a little button here, Elastic View. And before I go there, let's just go to elasticview.com. And again, it's a free and open source Elasticsearch GUI for the browser. Like, it's exactly what I'm looking for. So I installed the extension. It's really easy. You get the extension, and then here, and this is, right, and here I'm going to make sure I can pick different nodes. So I want my Docker node. This is all of my cluster information. This is pending tasks. You can see active shards, number of nodes. Is it timed out? Status is yellow. I don't know why, but it is yellow. I might be able to find out why it's yellow. Here's my nodes. It's probably because my RAM is maxed out. And then here are my indices. This is really neat. Here is every one of those. Let me put them all. Here are all my indexes. And if we sort them by name, right, it is here. All of my learn stuff, all of my show stuff, and then soon to be my SmartNet stuff. They all have a UUID. They're all open. They're all yellow for some reason. And you can see the number of documents, right? Here's the shards that they have, and then here's the documents per shard. And this has 10, so it's run 10 times. It's about almost 10 megabits in size. We can search documents right from here on Learned Interface, or we can use the search button, or we can just click on one of these and it'll take us over there. Now let me go to search, and it's going to be, yeah, pre-canned already. Let me just empty my search. And, all right, this is infrastructure as search. I've selected those 21 indices, love that word. And now let's go search in them. And you can see I have some searches, and you can see they give you a hint that it's just like Google. I can use or and, or wildcards, or :25. So let's look for the 000. And we're going to search for it, and look at, it's been found in, I have 12 rows, and it's been found in BGP OSPF, BGP process all, IP OSPF, and that's it. And it's sort of some of them, there's all the ingest times when this data was ingested. And if we look, they sort of try to help you out, but what you're better off doing is picking one. So if I go show BGP, and then in here, Control F, there it is right there. That it happens to be the cluster ID. Well, in OSPF, it is not the cluster ID, it's an area. Pretty cool, right? So like, let's do 172.16.star. Right, and it's now I've found interface brief, IP route, right? It's finding more and more indexes. And then I could filter on this current page here if I like. Can I do like BGP? I can. So then I can filter my results. I can search my search. Route. I'm looking for routes with 172.16. Ha! Isn't that amazing? All right, and then I copy in here, and there's 172.16.10. And it even has _30 here. Right? That's the route. Or here's next hop. So now let's do a compound. Let's look for 1.1 or 1.0. And I'm going to get rid of my, this is important, right? I got to clear that out. And let's search. So now it's narrowed it down to routes, interface brief, routing, OSPF. BGP is not, right? Is there any BGP? No. So I don't have those two IPs in anything to do with BGP. But what about OSPF? Yes. Both of those IPs are in this OSPF body. There's 0.1, and I'm sure 1.1 is in here. Now, what about something else? I don't know. Like, what about type stub network? All right, let's try that one. Let's try that one. Type : stub network. Do I have any stub networks? Well, I should have found. Maybe that's not right. See, sometimes it's not. It doesn't work the way I think it should. What about VRF state? See, no. What about 172.16? Did I break it somehow? No. All right, it still works. So I'm still working it out. I'd like to be able to search for, cluster ID is 00000, but maybe I haven't indexed it right, or I'm doing something incorrect there. But you get the idea, and I could spend a lot of time here doing different searches. Now, it also comes with REST, just like Postman, right? So I could take, right, this, here's the MAC address table one. I don't know how much of this I need to copy in, but, right, get, and then if I get it, run query, that works, right? So I can do it here. I don't need Postman. Now, let's look at Kaizen next. All right, so this was pretty incredible, but what if I want to look at it more like, I don't know if anyone's ever used a thick client for SQL. Is there something similar? And I did find this Kaizen, and while it launches, I'm going to go call up the web page for Kaizen. Kaizen Elasticsearch, and here's Kaizen. So it's a GUI for Elasticsearch, right? Elasticsearch itself does not have a graphical user interface to communicate with the cluster. Kaizen is our solution for Elastic GUI. And away you go. Now there is a license for a commercial offering, right? I'm just using the free Kaizen because it's not a commercial thing. And then here I'm going to go to my connection and connect. And now here, and let me just filter on DevNet. Now here is all of my indexes again. And there's doc. And what you can see is it gives me the ACLs and the ingest time. So each set of data. Now where's the interface? I should have 10 of them. And I do. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, neat. Okay, all right. This looks a little weird. I don't know why it has all these headings, but I guess it's presenting those documents. That's pretty neat. And how many do I have an ingest time here somewhere? Yeah, so there's my ingest time. Oh, neat. It actually breaks down each field. Wow, that is really neat. So now in here I can just look at field value. Let's just do loopback. Does that work? Field value. So field loopback 1. What? Or is it the field down here, not the header? Anyway, I can do searches as well. Well, if I have my search figured out here. But that's really incredible. I didn't realize it did that. So now, what I think is interesting, if we look at it this way, can I make this bigger? Let's say I add VLAN 10. Right? It would be empty all the way, and then you would see the timestamp of when VLAN 10 got created. Or if VLAN 1 was deleted, you would just stop seeing its field. Or if I need to do deltas on like management 0 here, I didn't want to sort them, but is there an IP field? Like here, loopback 1 here, right? We can see the IP is the same. What if it changed? Well, we'd have the timestamp in the history of when it changed. It's like a full change log as well as a search engine in this Kaizen. And I'm just getting started. There's deep queries. There's all kinds of buttons and tags. So let me close these down. That is really interesting. So I see, because I've been looking at ACLs, and ACL just has ACLs, maybe. I don't know. It's weird that interfaces is so much better. Okay, like here's learned ARP. So I have my interfaces, and I have my statistics. So it really breaks it down. It really depends on the learned interface, learned OSPF, learned platform. Here's platform is pretty neat. And you can see that the disk space is different over the timestamps. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit lost. I even forget that I'm recording. So let's get into VSCode, our favorite tool of all. So I really like Kaizen, though. Kaizen's really quickly becoming my favorite tool of them all. So here in VSCode, I have this folder called VSCode. And it's really interesting. If you go to the extensions, I have this VSCode Elasticsearch for VSCode. And let's just look at this for a second. And they show you do your get in a file called a .es file. And then you can run your query, and it split screens. Now, one thing I want to point out, when it first launches, here's the command to set your host. I've had to change my host, and I struggled a little bit until I actually read the document. So what they're saying is you can do this and say elastic, all right, set host. And that's currently my host. I'm not going to change that. So now, with these ES files, where's that interface, learned interface? They're the exact same things that we have in Postman or in the browser or whatever, but they're .es files. So let's I got to admit something, me clicking on that screwed up my environment, so I had to fix that real quick. But anyway, here we go. Let's search for loopbacks, run query, bang, right there, right in VSCode. So what we have is our query, and if, run query button, and there is the JSON. Just like Postman, just like all the other tools we've seen, but within the convenience of your VS Code. with files you can store and distribute, right? Where's that MAC address? Right? Search all Macs. There's the MAC. Right? You get the idea. I'm not going to go through it all again, except we have the advantage that they're files, just like the Postman collection. Well, now we have VSCode ES files that we can save and distribute and centralize. So I still have to explore the world of Cabana with you and make some visualizations. But check out infrastructure as search. In particular, Elastic View, Kaizen, the VS Code. I guess there is no in particular. However you want to consume it. The convenience of in a browser, which means from your phone you could do this search. The convenience of a full keyword search in Elastic View. Kaizen gets us every column of every key pair value with the full ingest time history. Really incredible, with search built into that as well. We are entering the world. Do you remember what it was like before Google? Before Hasta La Vista? Before Alta Vista? Before I remember there was tons. There was a web crawler war when I was growing up, and we had half a dozen, maybe 10 different crawlers and search engines. They've all sort of funneled and consolidated into Google or Bing or DuckGo, or there's a few, right? I don't want to leave anyone out, but imagine having that power over your infrastructure state. I'm looking for a MAC address. Bang, there it is. I'm looking for an IP, a route. What's the state of something, the BGP neighbors? How many CRC errors are there? Whatever you want, right? You just search for it, and our system, our Merlin Kubernetes pods running every minute, parsing that data, feeding Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is ingesting the data, time-stamping it as it comes in, and then we just search for it, and we present it to our business and our shareholders and stakeholders and users. Just a keyword search. What are you looking for? What do you want to know? I need to find this MAC. I need to find this IP. There's a botnet going on, and we need to track it on the network. What's the MAC? What's the IP? Enter. Okay, it's on port 2 in this building on this floor. There's no more SSHing in, following an ARP table to a MAC table to the physical interface and looking on hunting and tracing. Forget it. You search for it. So, lots more to come. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about you getting involved and you cloning these repos and you trying it for yourself. I think infrastructure as search is here. And if not, let's usher in the era of infrastructure as search. Stay safe. Thanks again for watching.